Okay, so we're going to look at a program solution actually in subnetting. And before we do that, I want to go through the 7 steps that we should go through for subnetting. We really should always look at the first step being identifying the class of IP that we're dealing with. Always answer question 2, which is what is the default subnet mask? Those 2 questions are always questions we want to ask because this is going to be where we start. The third question becomes, how many bits do we borrow? Look at how many bits to borrow. And that needs to satisfy either the number of nets or the number of hosts we're looking at. The equation is the same. 2 raised to what power minus 2 greater than or equal to the number of nets. 2 raised to some power minus 2 greater than or equal to the number of hosts, or the number of zeros we have left over. Typically we look at dividing up into subnets, so we look at dividing into a number of nets. Sometimes, however, we look at max hosts, hosts that are left over. 4. Question 4, step 4 in this cookbook. Develop the custom mask. Now that we've looked at how many bits we're borrowing, we take our default mask and we count over that many additional bits, change those zeros to ones, and we give a value for the borrowed bits. Now the key thing is we should always total to 32. We should always have our default mask plus our custom subnet mask plus the number of bits left over for hosts, and that should always be 32. And when I go through a problem solution for a particular class of address, you're going to see me go back and keep an accounting of just that. Step 5. We need to look at the value of the least significant bit borrowed. This gives us our starting point for our net addresses. Now some folks are going to tell you, well, this eliminates the 0 base address. I say to folks, well, we can just go backwards. But the key component, what is the least significant bit, the value of the least significant bit borrowed, tells us 2 things. The start net ID and 6, it tells us the increment to the next net ID. Increment to the next net ID. I can't stress enough the value of that least significant bit. Knowing the value of that least significant bit gives us a lot of information, that bit borrowed. Step 7, fill in between. Now we fill in the host IDs in between for usable hosts. We throw out the 0 host. We throw out the broadcast host. Throw out the 0 host, throw out the broadcast host, and we've subnetted our network. Now I'll do a couple of examples and I will go through this step by step with each and every one, probably with a little guide on the side here in a shorthand method, but you can certainly look at those videos as well.